I've said this in an interview, and I think it's really important that it's not about the ring, i.e. the ring being timeless. It was a crucible of events. The gold goes in the crucible, the iron goes in the crucible, you melt it, and you wind the mold up, and you put the pin in, it's loaded, and you got to hit that fucking hammer at its hottest point, and that goes into the mold and creates the ring that you then cut apart and you make. And I think that's like the lathe or cutting the music onto acetate. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. It's a graffiti outline. It will be outlined. It will happen.
Let me ask you, how much pressure did you feel under when you were when you had that deal and you were writing, and because, you know, like you said, some of those tracks had already been around, but you had to rework them and you had to redo them and you had to put them on this now bigger scale for this bigger audience, this bigger platform. Because one thing I never dealt with when it comes to making music, man, was pressure. You know,
I'll take a taste straight away, because I never had to make it for the bigger audience. Me making a record deal was literally giving the middle finger to the people that didn't believe in the music. It was like, I don't give a fuck if you hate this, but you're going to have to fucking hear it because I'm going to get it put on the radio, you cunts. I literally did not give a fuck. You know, it's the same question as, why didn't you happen in America? Do you know why? Because I told the head of K-Rock to go fuck himself. Because I didn't give a fuck. I just didn't care. And I look at those interviews, I'm like, yeah, man, it's, you know, I'm always looking at the camera like this. I don't look at the camera. I don't give a fuck about you. Like, my arrogance, my ignorance, my ego. You know, I didn't care because the music is the fucking.
Yeah, but we all knew how good it was. And the thing that I think that Timeless represents to me as an album, as a collection of songs, is. Because, you know, listen, drum and bass is all, even to this day, drum and bass is still the bastard child of dance music, man. Do you know what I mean?
It's still uncle under the stairs, no one wants to talk to.
It's still frowned upon. Yeah, it's still frowned upon. It still gets begrudging kind of respect. And, you know, pre-COVID, you know, before all this bullshit, I'm sorry.
I'm going to say something really bad, but, you know, it's like, listen, breakbeat lives matter. you know.
COVID, any given weekend, I don't, you know, I don't go to every other event, but I know there's shitloads of D&B events going on and they're all fucking full. Do you know what I mean? You know, they're all fucking rammed to death, man. And no matter what kind of lineup, whatever you're into, man, you know what I mean? So, but that's the beautiful thing about drum and bass is it's self-sufficient. We don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? And that's like the mentality you wrote that album.
It cost us in the overground, but we didn't give a fuck because remember, for me, it was about Timeless. I get it. It was going to a wider audience. My fascination with time, which I go into on various occasions about. But I don't have to do that now. But the idea of my fascination of time, the idea of how a 1 minute record could sound like 10 minutes, and the way that I'm going to watch you flinch after 3 minutes, you squirming of how you didn't believe sonically this could do that. And also the fact that working with live musicians, I'd already had a great experience. You see, because people saw me as, I got the University of Marcandigo, but I also had the University of Nelly Hooper and Howie B, and seeing people work with real singers, and seeing Robin Smith on a piano and playing stuff and go, right, if I get the MIDI information and I put that there. All of these things that people go, well, you know, but he doesn't program. If I fucking programmed, my music would be shit. Because the whole point of music for me is to be able to paint it. It's graffiti, it's wall style, how to make it. And I get it, and I can get the people that they get their noses put out by it. And I'll say to anybody, here's 21 minutes, here's your timeline, here's all the sounds. You go get your own sounds. Let's just put a 21-minute record together. Because engineers are, it's just the canvas is there. And it's not about looking at the screen. This is the box of Zoom. This is it. And I felt that the time, with all of the scene, I didn't have any fear with it because B-boyism did that. Well, look what we were doing, breakdancing and how graffiti had still been in that place. For me, it was all about Birmingham Library and still trying to honour this thing. So I think my connection to drums was like, oh my God, this is B-boyism at its best. If this is what guys should be breaking to. And it was almost as if that kind of sounds old now, but this is what you guys should be breakdancing to. Do you know what I mean? So I think that any change in era will happen if the music changes, the technology, the social conditions change completely, and the culture. And we had all of these things. You know, if you look at the story of African Bambaataa, this is no African Bambaataa Planet Rock. But they hired the drum machine guy in the back of a newspaper in the New York Times. Drum machine guy wanted. They was looking and it said, drum machine guy, $25 an hour. They still never found that guy. Arthur Baker tells me he still never found that guy.
Wow.
But you know what? I found the harmonizer.
Yep.
I knew as an alchemist, if I take that? Linford got the train home. It was the last train. And I said, mate, you need to stay when I'm going home. I'm like, fuck it then. I want to stay here and I'm going to get this done. And I'm like, fuck it. And I just got into the harmonizer. I go, what does it do? And he's, I don't know. Can you get me another bag of pills? I'm like, yeah, but I need to know what that does first. So all of these things that led to the breakthrough and finding Rob, who was a master technician at the time.
Yep.
It created. Time Code wasn't really doing music. Rob had all these artists, Wearmouth, you know, Two Bad Mice, all the other guys. Time Code himself was an artist. Wasn't really doing much, but technically, way ahead. The idea of 3200s, I was moving on. I was always moving on. But I think it's hard to listen. I can listen to Timeless, and I've just started listening to Saturn's Return in a beautiful way because it's closure. But Timeless as a coming of age album, there's nothing like it. And I think that for me,
yeah, I mean, like I say, the reference to like drum and bass always been seen as like the bastard child of dance music, even to this day, which is, you know, it is what it is. But Timeless, for me, I can remember, you know, because you were using like musicians and you were using, like you say, real singers, because, you know, pretty much it was easy to see drum and bass as a bastard child because we were broke. We didn't have two shit. We had to sample everything because we couldn't afford fuck all. We couldn't afford singers. Couldn't afford to get a piano player in. You know, that's why we were sampling everything. You know what I mean? Me, myself, man, I was sampling synths because I couldn't afford synths.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? I didn't have that kind of knowledge. And then when you did Timeless, man, when you were taking songs, when you were having real session singers and real instruments, but the beats, you know what I mean, man? I'm a beats person, and if the beats aren't right, I'm not interested in anything, man. You know what I mean? There's the music I hear, lovely music, lovely vocals, but if the beats are an afterthought, then it's just fast pop music. You know what I mean? It's not drum and bass to me. That's my mentality.
It's just,
do you know what I mean?
Music.
And then I can always remember hearing Saint Angel. We did a show, part of the Timeless tour at the time. It was in Paris, and I think Björk was there. She was either there or she was on live as well. I can't quite remember, but I can remember vividly being in Paris, and you were doing the live thing. And I can remember it was like a big theater, and I sat up. I went off the floor, and I sat in the gallery. There was like a big kind of auditorium area. And because I wanted to hear those songs on a giant rig, do you know what I mean? And I can remember hearing Saint Angel on this fucking, you know, for me anyway, because we were still playing in fucking warehouses and shit, you know what I mean? We weren't fucking playing in theaters. And this was, I can't remember where it was, somewhere in Paris. I can remember sitting there hearing this song.
It was a Björk show.
Yeah, and I can remember sitting there just going, fuck, man, the kid made it, man. This is fucking incredible, man. It sounded incredible. And 808s were coming in, you know what I mean? And I can remember it so clearly. And that's when I knew you'd cracked it, man. You'd cracked the code, man. You'd achieved. I don't think the album had even released because it was like the promotional tour. Maybe it had just come out. I can't quite remember.
No, it hadn't come out yet. It was a promotional tour on the back of Björk.
And that's when I knew you like you said, you'd married those two worlds, man, because it would have been easy for you to go all conceptual and then but go beyond the dance. And as Derek May said, you know, a long time ago, he did that tune Beyond the Dance, man. And I always say to people, be careful, man. They never go beyond the dance, man. You never, unless you that's your objective, unless you want to do that. Like all those tracks you made for Timeless, you know, we all had dubplate versions of them. We all had stripped down because you did all the instrument, you did all the dubs, and you gave us 4-minute loops of outtakes and everything. Do you know what I mean? Street beats, man. You know what I mean? And that's why that album fucking works, man, because it's musical and it's fucking knows where it came from, and it's the perfect fucking marriage, man. And it's quite funny, man, because I see people recently, because, you know, obviously it's people are talking about the album again because it's 25 years, and I've seen a couple of people saying, yeah, but, you know, I never really heard any of those tracks out of the rave. And I'm like, you did, you just didn't, you don't realize you did. Do you know what I mean? You did.
Yeah.
You heard lots of those tracks out.
They're
You
very
just didn't
quick to
realize.
dismiss. People can be very quick to dismiss it, but remember, they were only waking up when we had all been playing it. We never cut into. They always hearing graffiti. When you were cuddling to your pillows, we were out there putting the outlines down. You know, those
Yeah.
dub versions of those tracks have been played in Paradise, Orange Club.
Yep.
We've already done the groundwork. I mean, Terminator was on play for 18 months. Do you
Yep.
mean it's all these tracks were just already worming their way through? Well, I've already been in a club. Well, you didn't get it early enough then.
I was in those reinforced years, and then obviously leading up to Heads. 1993 was like a really pivotal period, and I can remember not emptying dance floors, but reducing a dance floor capacity by 50%.
I did that for you later on in the year 2000. Don't worry about it. I did that officially by clanging. That's what I did. I did that with like loads of gear and clanging. Give Goldie an ounce of coke before he plays. He's done. Beautiful.
But I had I'd come down and I'd spend the fucking couple of days with you guys, and I'd come back with plates of stuff and these prototypes or finished versions and the fucking what was the internal affairs?
Internal affairs. Hands down, probably one of the most future thinking records ever. 4 tracks, which really for me, that EP, I said to Mark and D, goes, you've got to do something that's outside of the dance. We've got to do something really experimental, and you've all got to fucking write a paragraph, and you ain't going to put it out unless you write a paragraph. I looked at the sleeve notes the other month. It's fucking phenomenal, them sleeve notes. Then, you know, what Digo says, what Mark says, and I typed it all out and put it all on there. I mean, Hands to Heaven is probably still one of my favourite all-time records, really.
Yeah. And I can remember having those on dub plate, and coming back up to the meeting. I'm playing where I was playing at the weekend, and I was like, I'm sorry, I have to play these tunes, and you have to hear these tunes. And that was the Derek May mentality in me, because first time I heard Derek May play, 1990, Sky Blue Connection, 30 years ago, just about a week or so ago, 24. And I grew up on his music. First bought a Derek May record, I think in 85, 86. And obviously I knew this guy's music, never heard him DJ, never heard a DJ like that. Do you know what I mean? He came to the UK, I think that was his first tour of the UK. Anyway, got to see him play. Half the people left the dance floor. This is a big fucking warehouse thing. I can remember vividly standing next to the decks, man, because what he was doing was so fucking future. You know what I mean? It was so fucking ahead. But the concept is like, and that's why I carry that mentality with me to this day. Is, he was like, you've booked me, you've flown me here from Detroit. What's the point of me coming here and playing fucking rave music? What's the point? Yeah, what's the point in me coming here and playing the current, all the big hits that's here in the UK? And that's the mentality I carry to this day. When I was coming back from Dollis Hill with those tracks, man, and from yourself, from Reinforced, was like, I have to play these tunes, man. They have to be heard. That's always been my mission as a DJ. Is, yeah, I want to make you dance, but I'm also looking for the next sound, and that's what that's what Timeless is as well. It's like, it's always about the next thing, man. I always say to people, if people ever ask me for advice, and I'm terrible at advice, but the only advice I can ever give is, 1, be true to yourself, and 2, make music or play music for tomorrow. Don't do it for today. Because if you make it for today, if you play for today, man, it's fucking yesterday already. Do you know what I mean? By the end of the day, man.
I felt that album, even in third party, I can listen to it in third party. I think Timeless is a one piece, 21 minutes. Do you ever remember hearing it for the first time?
I listened to it this morning. I listened to the whole album this morning. And it's the first time I've listened to the whole album, as the whole album I can't even remember. I listened to the whole album this morning.
Wow.
Because I was wanted to, and I'd forgotten that Timeless was the 3 tracks, put together. You know what I mean? I was like,
really?
Shit.
Yeah, it's Timeless, Pressure. Timeless is like Pressure and Ja.
Yeah. Because I'm fucking terrible with track names. I can't remember jack shit. So I put it on this morning. I was doing stuff and I had it on, and then, obviously it's like anything. You put a piece of music on, and all the memories start flooding back, and moments in time and everything. That's what I'm saying. When Saint Angel come on, I was like, that memory of being in Paris, man, and that's just sitting there. I was sitting on my own. I went up to the bleacher seats, the auditorium seats, and I was just sitting there, just looking at the whole thing. You were on stage, and I was thinking, fuck, man, look how far we've come, man. Do you know what I mean? We've come from Roller Express fucking, do you know what I mean? Dodgy fucking warehouses on the North Circular, and here's my fucking guy on stage
You left
in
that,
fucking Paris.
that man.
Yeah, it was a beautiful. You know, there's been a lot of beautiful moments, man, and that was one of them, man. You know what I mean? And to have the balls as well, I have to say, to have the balls to call an album timeless is fucking
That was
ballsy.
trick, though, because I knew you would. When people said to me, "Yeah, you could have known that," I knew you would. I knew it was way ahead. I knew it would allow me the rope I needed to hang myself with Saturn's Return, because mother had to be done. I think it was just preordained, and I've said that all along. It was always going to be called timeless. It was always going to be that. It was from the very opening of the idea and the concept of time, and it was, you know. But you know, listen, Carl was amazing, because Carl never does Zoom. We did this great audio interview on Zoom, which we stripped out the video, going to South London and making This Is a Bad,
Right.
and Seven Seal. You know, the idea, and he doesn't work with many people, but the idea of, you know, I'm out of my comfort zone. I'm fucking loving this. But I think that conceptually, I wouldn't change a fucking thing. I wouldn't change a fucking thing. I think that having the balls to do it, I'm like, fuck off, everyone. I'm just going to do it. You know, and I think, you know, there's one thing about that music. Even Fabio said that it was hard to play in a city life, because it sounded like a normal record, but it was drum and bass record, but it was normal, and it was just so different. The EQ was different, the sound was different, so it was always on its own thing. It's never got its foothold in any genre almost. It was its own thing.
It was also, you know, I'm a strong believer in certain tracks. I always say to people as well, you need an element. There's an element of luck in some things, and by luck I mean timing. Do you know what I mean? I always think, you know, like for example, Shadowboxing is for me seen as by a lot of people as a pinnacle tune or whatever, and I would say it was just lucky, man, because it came out at the right time. If that had came out 2 years earlier or 2 years later, you know, the reaction would have been, you know, it's timing, man. It's like Marcus Intellect's "How You Make Me Feel" was the right tune at the right time. Do you know what I mean? Things were all too dark at that time. It was all too male. I can remember vividly going to a club at that period, and I was going in somewhere, and Brian G was coming out. Brian G said to me, Scotty, where's all the girls gone, man? I goes, what do you mean? He goes, the whole club's full of fucking guys, man. Not you know what I mean? And
Well, Mike's Cole's fault.
just a sausage fest, you know what I mean? Just pure. And then how you make me feel came out, and that changed everything, because it was like, oh yeah, vocals, remember those?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything had gone so fucking hard, and Inner City Life was the right tune at the right time to make that statement. And like you say, it's weird, man, because it was a difficult tune for you know, us as DJs. It wasn't DJ friendly. Do you know what I mean? In that sense, you know. And you know me, man. I like to roll, man. Do you know what I mean? I was like, you know, it was like, okay,
You're gonna roll with that. It's what's weird about it, because it was only things like Walk the Dog or loops, you know, because the idea, I knew that it all works on loops. I get that part of it. But then when the musicality had to be built into it, because it's gonna go somewhere else, but it wasn't, but it's still integral. That's what the beauty of the album was. And it's, you know, it's 25 years, 26 years since we made it. And I'm really grateful for all the artists, but I'm really grateful to you for the inspiration who's always been there. And you're very humble. I get that, Scotty, but sometimes you got to stand up, sunshine, because that for me was the best time of what we were doing. And you know, we remastered it. It sounds fucking amazing. Didn't push it, just tweaked it, you know, and it's been great, because I've got some nice little surprises. I mean, I've got a real surprise for you. I know that much. You know, you know what? I'm 55 in 2 weeks. But, you know,
55.
the idea of being able to think about it like this, the idea that I can still surprise you and go, that's mad what a Kenzo Jar remix would sound like.
Hello. Look at that bait. Look at the bait. Okay.
You know what's good. What's good? It's like I've always felt that you pull people and you look at people that grew up on the music, and very unexpectedly, the guy that you've been schooling for a while, you know, I'm 31, which I felt was great, and that happened, and it's beautiful. And I thought, you got to invert and you got to keep pushing. And it's great because they come to you from another angle, and you go, what do you really want to? What you want to really handle that and do that? And I love that. And the idea of, you know, readdressing sensual. You know, it's taken Zero T a fucking year to get sensual right. And he had 4 attempts. Every time he'd phone me, go, I've got this thing I want to try. Can I get your blessing to try? I went, all right, give it a try. And I get a phone call every 4 months. Mate, fucking get rid. I don't want to speak to you. It's not even worth it. And then a couple of months ago, he goes, look, I really want to do this. What do you reckon? And I said, look, just take the glove off, invert it. Look at it. Stop looking at it like a fucking engineer and looking at it in math and numbers. Break the fucking record down and take it to where it should. Sensual is not. It's a D&B roller, a light roller, but it's a jazz record.
Right.
Flip it to the side of jazz. Put it in the jazz world where it belongs at the same BPM as Latin music, and then you get the answers. And he came back and went, now we've got a shape. So, you know, the alchemy's still there, Scotty. I don't know how much more I've got left of it. How much of my ignorance or arrogance might carry us through this time for my own good. But I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed these re-approaches because you can't fuck with the originals. You're never gonna fuck with the originals at all. It's never gonna happen. So it's like trying to remake Dark Side of the Moon. But the purpose of where we're at in this music is that ever evolvement. Because when you hear sensual, you go, fuck me. I didn't know what it was for 16 bars. Good, because now within the genre we've got motifs that we can use that you don't have to give it away. I've had 25, 30 versions of Kind of Blue. And I'll tell you what, I love 15 of them. I never really liked a remix of Inner City Life. But if you give me a remake or an inversion of it, like Matthias Voigt, you know, that jazz version from Berlin, ain't no fucking joke. That's how far this music deserves musicality. It deserves different people's takes on it.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? And that's my argument with it about the music. About, okay, so ironically, we were in the future, and then we went into the retarded past by people throwing away the genre, a beautiful genre. We came all this way to fire this rocket and go all the way through the universe and come back, and this monkey can't even land it on a fucking flat surface. It's like, eh? What is it? You're only pushing buttons. Is nothing else from the formula that you realise in this soulful groove of a music? Can you not show me innovation? Is there no more? Is that it? Are we done with the innovation? Is there no more left? Have we taken it all? You know what I mean? But, you know, every genre has its day.
Yep.
This genre just wants to be, it's still here in so many ways.
I think the spirit of, do you know what? I think the last 5 years, D&B is really, for me anyway, I think D&B is has been as good as it ever has been. Obviously, there's that 90s period. The 90s period is the 90s period, right? It you know, whatever how people refer to it, and you can't compare it. It's like comparing, you know, fucking Eddie Boxer. Yeah, you know, the 90s. It is what it is, man. Do you know what I mean? The 90s were breaking. Everyone was breaking all kinds of new ground. Do you know what I mean? You had the guys down in Bristol. Do you know what I mean? Go down to Music House, and fucking Frost comes in with a new crust. That and your fucking head explodes, your brain melts, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
I love that new tune, by the way. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, you know, and I think, like you say, the 2000s, man, it was a come down for a lot of us, man. Do you know what I mean? We all had to cold turkey in various ways, man. Do you know what I mean? To get through.
It also became the parody. We became the parody. I became the poster boy parody of what I'd become. I was, you know, because, you know, it's all of that. But this last 5 years, I'll stick with you on that one. I mean, well, you know, I've got fucking 12 albums to put out. I've got a double part. Nookie's techno album is like he's gone straight to Detroit on 8 Mile, and he just fucking pulled everyone's pants down on the block and just give it a slap. I mean, Nookie's now making the greatest music he's ever made right now.
That's
you know,
amazing.
along with all these new kids, you know, Comics' albums, like, fuck me, George. I'm so happy with where it's at. The sadness about it, we've got nowhere to fucking play it.
There's that factor. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I do feel it because I get sent some of these amazing tunes. I'm like, this, you know, I've got a folder in my record box where I'm like, needs to be heard in the club. You know what I mean? There's certain tunes you hear and you're like,
Yeah.
it has to be fucking heard. So my first, when we get through this fucking bullshit and we can get back to some kind of fucking normality, I'm not playing no new stuff. My first sets will be all these tunes I've had over the last 6-9 months, hopefully not fucking longer, to hear on a fucking rig. But drum and bass, I think, is it's got, at least the drum and bass that I'm into. I mean, drum and bass is it's like saying house music. It's such a broad fucking canvas now.
Yeah.
The church is enormous, you know what I mean? And there's something for everyone, and that's a good thing. But I've always got too much music and not enough time to play it. And as a DJ, that's always where you want to be. That's always where I want to be.
I've always said there's too many cowboys, not enough Indians.
I've got too much music, man. Do you know what I mean? You know, when we have our back-to-backs, man, like when we have our little back-to-back sessions once a year, whenever it is, it's a lot of fun, man. Do you know what I mean? And you drop a load of shit on me, I drop a load of shit on you.
That was
and
good. Like, that's the last time I saw you, right? Was in Ministry of Sound.
Ministry of Sound, man, and that was
pretty good. I mean, we will get back to it.
Yep.
I'm just grateful for all of the contributors in my wonderful life, including yourself as inspiration. And I'm stoked. I mean, no one's greater than the music, and that's the thing about it. You know what I mean? This music, these people have been making, and from Heist to fucking Voltage to Benny L to all the new cats to fucking, to Crust to all of these guys. It murders me when I think about Grey Code and fucking HLZ, Emilio, and it's one of the tightest communities that's really has that ability to be so kind of knit. Do you know what I mean? You don't get the same thing with other genres. I've never known that. And
I don't think so. And like I say, I think because this drum and bass created and runs itself. Do you know what I mean? Like when the majors came in, and they came in the 90s, and they have, sometimes they sniff around and whatever. It's like, yeah, you can come in and you can have a piece, and if you want to give someone money, cool. It doesn't really matter, man. This thing is self-sufficient. It runs itself. It's its own thing. It's its own entity, man. It's like the internet. The internet it's just there. You know what I mean? Drum and bass is fucking there, man. And there's people that are always coming through, man. You know what I mean? Like my inbox, man, on a weekly or semi-weekly basis, there'll be something in there from someone I haven't heard. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy, man? This is fucking bad as fuck, man. Do you know what I mean? And then, like you say, and you got people like now, like Serum and Voltage and Benny that are just fucking murdering it, man. Do you know what I mean? Like making tunes that are so destructive and so good. And there's a little nod and a wink to the past, you know what I mean? But not in that terrible pastiche way where you go, I'd rather play the original. Do you know what I mean? Those guys
everyone's got a batch. Like Groove's got his batch of people. I've got my batch and the Head's batch. And you know what I mean? That's what I love about it. I can't run out. You know, and there's always something that I'm thinking that I haven't got. And I think, fuck. And that's what I love about it. But I'm just really grateful that the genre's been really kind to us. But I want to thank you, Scott. We're going to wrap this up. I feel that if you had to choose one tune of Timeless that's not timeless, what would it be?
Chemistry. And then, do you know what's it's really weird, man, because I'd forgotten that version. You know, the version that's on the album.
It's the version that says, I'm going to show you how to program, bitches.
That's what I'm saying. When it came on, I was like, oh yeah, this, you know what I mean? And I listened to it,
Totally different version.
Completely different version. And I tell you what surprised me as well when I listened to the album, and that's why I wanted to listen to it this morning so it's fresh in my mind, was, man, I forgot how much you chopped up beats, man. You were really choppy, man. You were fucking
moving it around, mate. I was working with Mesophiles, with Rob, going, listen to technology, breaking down with, sensual doesn't repeat the same bar for 240 bars because he's taken the Mesophiles in audio before it was no longer, it was all about cutting up audio and moving beats around and taking out pieces. And the alchemy, like drawing it all out, creating legends and drawing it out, ghost effects down, fading stuff down. And that was always the way, it was always the idea of doing that.
And I didn't want to see one of my glasses on, but you're going to see one of my glasses on now. Because I'm terrible. Actually, Sense of Rage, Central VIP, that's the one. And when I heard that, and I'd completely forgotten about that tune. And when that came on, I was listening to it because I was listening to the whole album. And I was like, holy fucking shit! I can remember having this on Dubman and playing this on, playing this on
No, it's for
Dubplate.
me. It was that idea you said about Public Enemy getting. It's like an attack getting inside. You know, the loop. It's the loop.
I was
Loop.
going to ask you, what's the who did
Well,
the
what
who
it
did
does, it says an attack, an attack, and attack, and when you loop it enough, the right speed, it says get inside. I always wanted to have two. If you keep listening to it, you're gonna listen to it again and go, is it get inside or attack? And attack, and attack, and attack, and attack, and attack, and inside, get inside, get inside. And it's the idea of what that would do. I mean, tic-tac-toe's in there. There's so many things that are in there that people still haven't sussed, which I'm really proud of, to be honest. And that's what I love about that whole idea of sense of rage of what it was, that thing. And the idea of sensual, it's the main version, which was never on there on the reissue in December. The original sensual only came out in Japan. It never came on the album. The May sample, so it starts. Sense of Rage it starts with the whole. It's the dub version, really. So hearing the full piano version in a world of piano, where we need a bit more piano now, Sky.
Well, there's piano and there's piano. Do you know what I mean?
But it's been beautiful. It's been beautiful revisiting that. I'm redoing Sea of Tears into this mad operatic piece at the moment, which won't be on the album, but it'll be part of the series. Which is, Betsy finished the drums yesterday. I've got really fierce drums on it, but following the same drums, but going into really fierce drums. And the whole guitar riff, which is now played with grand piano. You know what I mean? I'm really expressing what I've always wanted to, before I finally hang up the gloves. But it's been a very emotional, Scotty, and I want to thank you.
Well, I want to thank you first. One thing as well, for you gave me the opportunity to remix Chemistry, which is
greatest Chemistry remix of all time, by the way. There's no other version that beats that, Scotty. The way I can edit this is great. Listen, because I can edit this because when your audio overlaps, I can edit you out, so I can have my say. Chemistry remix, that remix, even when Kemi passed, it was the first remix I played in New York. It's the only version that has me to tears. It's the version which is the unsung hero version.
Well, it's like it's the most time I ever spent on any one tune, because my thing was I hate being in the studio. That's why it was kind of, as difficult it was for me to walk away from making music, it was kind of easy because I never enjoyed the studio experience. Like, I wanted to get in and out there as quickly as possible. I was like fucking like the old graffiti writer. Get in, get out, do your work, fucking sweet. Because I didn't enjoy the grind of making music. Do you know what I mean? That's why, so, but with that, I knew I had to take my time. Obviously, I knew I had to get it fucking, get it as good as I possibly could. So it's the most time I ever spent on any one tune ever, and even then I couldn't get the mix down quite how I wanted to. I couldn't get the, I don't know, because mix downs were never my thing. I always just speak to Rupert and Carl Delinger, Photek. I speak to them about mix downs, and Carl say to me, your mix downs are fun. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? It's a fucking nightmare. Do you know what I mean? Like, mixing down tunes was always my Achilles heel. And that's how so many of my tunes never got finished, because I was like, oh, fuck this, man. I'm out of here, man. I'm off to go and play fucking Call of Duty or whatever we were playing, Tomb Raider in the night, whatever we were doing back then. But that one I spent like so long on it. Do you know what I mean? And I tried my hardest to get it to be as good as I possibly could. And for me, that was the complete opposite of what I was as a producer. You know what I mean? My bio is, I'm a DJ that made some music. I'm not a producer. I always say to people, I don't even know fucking how. I'm
going to say you, I'm a producer. There's not a DJ.
You're not a DJ. There you go.
There you go. You know what I mean? That's it. But
that's why we work so well together.
That's why we work so well together. Look, Scotty, you've always been my left-hand man. Always said Scotty's my left-hand man. Always on my left. Groove Rider on my right. Always been out. Fabio looking in the back, give me the finger. Whilst I might be carrying Randall's box off into the sunset. I really thank you for everything. And, people forget what he's built on, but it don't really matter. You've done it already. And I think Timeless will go down as, for me, it is the greatest album out there that's ever been done in the D&B format, without a shadow of a doubt for me.
We love you, man. You know that. We love you. We
Yeah.
love you. You're annoying sometimes, but we love you.
I'm really annoying. I don't give a fuck. You know what? If I don't annoy you, don't come to my wake. Very simple, man. It's very simple.
love you,
Oh,
man.
he's annoying. What is the most annoying thing about me, Scotty? Tell me. Tell me now. Tell me now. Be honest.
Nah, just when you're looking for the third, when you're looking for the third bottle of vodka, that's when it can get a bit dicey.
I'm getting. Well, that's why I'm here. I'll get as far away from you as possible. You know, I saw you at Outlook. I saw you in Worse for Wear. Don't worry about that. We've all been there.
We've all been there.
When my annoying gets magnified by 100. But you know what?
It's a beautiful annoying. Honestly, you know, it's not annoying. It's a beautiful.
I am fucking annoying. I'm in your ear. You won't get rid of me. Listen, I love you very much, Scotty, and
man, I love you
give my love
too.
to
You know?
Sarah and Noah. Yeah. You got this young fine man now, and I remember when he was born. So it's crazy time, man. Crazy time. Are you going to do anything with that bloody music set, all that setup in there, Scotty, or what?
Working on it, working on something.
Seriously, like you're the only guy. I'm like, this guy's got all the equipment right there. You got, I mean, you know what? Maybe that is DJ might force your hand. Maybe you're in the studio. You might have to do something.
Well, I tell you what, the label 31, since we brought it back, because when I fell out of love with music and I fell out of love with fucking a lot of things, and I shelved the label in 2009, put it on the shelf. I said, I'm done. I was ready to walk away from drum and bass, man. And I was ready to walk away from everything. And, problems and issues, and you help with that, and Hoffman and everything. And then this decade, freaking dude, saved my life, man. And that's not a stretch. You know that, man. You know that. And so this last decade for me was about, okay, can I get back to where I was, and can I fall back in love with music, and can I rebuild my career and my life? That's what 2010 to 2020 was all about.
I said it every morning.
In 2010, I was at pretty much my lowest point, you know what I mean? And then I brought the label back in 2013, and year on year we've gone, you know what I mean? And I've found myself. I had to find myself, man. Do you know what I mean? It's like, okay, who the fuck is Doc Scott?
You know what it's like? We did it off, I fell apart in the noise. It happens, it's life. You move on. The music reflects that. And I mean, I'm glad for that.
But to a long story short, we just had our 3153 just came out last week, Jay Kenzo, aptly. Yes. And then, but if you noticed, people that notice these things, we went from 49 to 51. There was no 31R50, so 31RS50. And the reason being, one, the original 31 records only went up to 49. The 49 releases never got to 50. So we have passed now with the new 31 recordings, and 50 will be me. That's reserved for myself.
You better get to it, mate.
What it will be? Who knows?
It doesn't matter what it is. It's music.
No.
It doesn't matter.
But it'll be something. You know what I mean? And I said to Chris, runs the label, I said, you'll have a track, maybe two, probably one, but you'll have something by the end of the year, and then that'll be 31RS50. And if it's me humming for 4 minutes,
well, that's what it's gonna have to be, mate. It's gonna have to be. I look forward to that.
That's what it'll be.
Well, look, man, love you very much, and we'll cut the breeze another time. And shit, Timeless, 25 years, Jesus Christ. Yeah. Thanks for a good time, Scotty. Big part of my life. I love you very much.